America's first action heroes was a man by the name of Paul Revere. As history tells it, his famous midnight ride on April 18, 1775 was to warn fellow patriots that the British armies were on the move. And now Hollywood is on the move to turn Revere's big night into a movie called The Ride.
It's hard to find more history and charm packed into a city than Boston, which is why this special team from Hollywood arrived in Beantown to do some location scouting.
What could we use, like for real? Is it more about the sanctuary that we could physically use, and then steeple stuff becomes more recreation?
Soon, Boston's historic North End will be showcased in a feature film based on the midnight ride of Paul Revere.
All that I have, all that I am.
The success of the HBO series John Adams, starring Paul Giamatti in the title role, has had an influence on producer-director Brian Ide, who is ready to bring more history to filmgoers with The Ride.
We're trying to create this idea that he was not the typical hero. He's not the Brad Pitt kind of hero. He's almost that reluctant hero, and that's what makes it so powerful, is that he was just a guy, and then that he did have this impact in history as just a guy on this night.
Production designer John Goldsmith, who worked in art direction most recently for the Oscar-winning No Country for Old Men and the HBO series John Adams, says they face some challenges filming here.
This is where you begin, looking at what's available and what you might need to reproduce, what you might need to build. We just toured the steeple at the Old North Church, which is fantastic architecturally and conceptually within the story, but physically, in terms of shooting within that really confined space, it's not possible.
But obstacles won't daunt this experienced group. They plan to use the exterior of Paul Revere's house, a popular tourist destination in the North End, for filming The Ride. And Boston native Elizabeth Flaherty, who helped produce films like Memoirs of a Geisha and The Crucible, says the story of Paul Revere will be perfect for the big screen.
He's one of those guys that actually did a couple of extraordinary things, but because he didn't become president, or he didn't become, one of those other things, he's just kind of like, oh, he rode his horse and that was great. But it was actually pretty significant, that whole. And it was much more of a nail-biting 24 hours than, I think we realize.
But don't expect Brad Pitt to be playing the famous patriot.
At the age that when he rode, he looks identical to Jack Black.
Jack Black, the movie star.
Yeah, size, body, face, hair, anything.
I guess if you want to do a comedy, you might go that direction.
Yeah, it's a different kind of ride.
Yeah.
But this is a little more romanticized, I think.
Just ahead on Backstage, we talk to the man who wrote the book about movie making in Massachusetts. Backstage returns right after this.